Hey everybody, Wasabi here. I'm going to try to give you an Elliott wave update here. So I watched like two or three trading videos today with Elliott wave traders that don't seem to be able to count these waves appropriately, and I don't know, it just seems kind of clear as day to me. Of course, from the low, I mean, everybody's counting the same thing because you do have very nice 1, 2, 3, 4, and working on a fifth wave. How high does the wave 5 go? It could super extend, as commodities often do, but where do you get in if this thing is going to keep flying? And I'd like to present the retracement levels. So just in this wave, so say you have a wave 3, which this counts very beautifully as a wave 3, with a leading diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, 2, 3 is somewhere here. You can count 3 as being here, and this is a wave 4 pullback, and then an extended fifth wave that retraced 50% of this wave. So let's pull a fib retracement from the low of wave 3 to the high of wave 3, and you can see the retracement level where price action came down to the 382 retrace and bounced several times, and eventually makes it back to the 0.5 fib retrace before resumption upward. As you can see, it gives you a choppy range to play in for a while. And that's generally what wave 4s look like. They stay high and tight compared to the rest of the wave. So you had a very nice impulse up and you stayed high and tight. You didn't retrace very far. You didn't fall off a cliff. You stayed up there. That's indicative of a wave 4. It's kind of what it looks like. It would be a shallow wave 2 if that's the case, but the measurements on this are perfect for a wave 4. Coming back to the 382 retrace and eventually tagging the 0.5. Sometimes we don't get the tag of the 0.5, but often it does happen. I do see that happen quite often. And it actually retraced to the wave 4 of lesser degree if you count internally there. On the extended fifth wave, it came back to the wave 4 of that extended fifth wave. So I'd count that final wave as being 1, 2, that's 3, 4, and an extended fifth wave. And then wave 4 came back to wave 4 in a lesser degree. You kind of want it to come back to this wave 4, but seeing as it had an extended fifth wave, this retracement was adequate. And that's why you came to the 0.5 right at 49K there. So it works well. But mainly what you want to pay attention to is how you had a very expansive move, and this retraced to the 0.5. This often happens, and how can we relate that to this expansion move and anticipate the retracements based on the same principles repeating over and over. So we'll zoom it down to the 4-hour here to get local price action and apply the same principle. We have an expansive move, so you take the start of that and go up to the current high. If we were to put that right there and expand it to the current high, you would look for a 382 or a 50% retrace from that high. Though I don't think we're done yet, but seeing as this expansion is generally seen as a wave 3, we can take some fib projections and try to line up where a potential wave 3 would end. So we'll zoom into the low here. We have off the 49,000 low, we have some kind of impulse up, 3 ways back, and then this grinding structure. That can easily be seen as a leading diagonal. Nobody likes that though, but it's totally valid. It works. Something like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then a very shallow wave 2, and sometimes they do that to make sure that you don't get in. So imagine that being your wave 1 of this impulse up. You may still have this to count as well, but say you just start from there. So we'll take a trend-based fib extension measurement of that low to that high. Generally, we want wave 3 to end up somewhere around the 1.618. That gets you right at 100K, plus or minus, somewhere in there. Try to get precise there. Yeah, some 101. But anywhere in that general vicinity, you would expect your wave 3 to complete. So if that is a leading diagonal, let's look at this internal structure here and see if we can count that and measure that out correctly. Let's mark off that 100K region so that I can get this out of the way. So just this wave right here, seeing as it's very impulsive, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a very nice wave 1. Very shallow wave 2. Let's take a trend-based fib extension measurement of that. Wave 1, wave 2, and your wave 3 gets right up to that peak at the 1618. So tag that, danced around it, drop back down. And this is often what happens after you hit the 1618. You'll pull back to support. So that blue line was the 1618 of that initial leading diagonal. And this wave here, you should count it at as almost a 5-wave structure done, but it should be 1, 2, 3, wave 4, coming back to wave 4 of lesser degree, which is very common. And now you're pushing up for 5, that I suspect breaks the 100K region. Very nice wave 5. After that, what would you expect? Where's your entry? Well, there's all this liquidity down here, and you have a wave 4. So perhaps we retrace to the wave 4 of lesser degree, take out all that liquidity. So if we base our measurements on that, after an expansive move, you take it from the low to the projected high of 1025. Maybe we get a little higher. But look where the 0.5 fib lands. A 50% retrace of this expansive move would lead you back to the wicks at the wave 4 of lesser degree. Somewhere in this pocket, I'd be looking for a completion of a correction that I think is likely coming. You should find support initially at the 382, right there, at that wick, bounce, and potentially create a range here of either reaccumulation or distribution. We don't know that until it completes, but imagine a little range that completes here. Kind of mimicking the price action that we got over the summer, just much faster, because this move is just moving faster. There's not much time in here. So imagine a wave 5 completing up there somewhere. You come down for some kind of A wave into a half cycle low at the 382, bounce back up, and then find your cycle low at the 0.5 fib. Maybe sometime, you might actually find it mid-December. I do have the 106-day cycle that would end, I do believe, December 18th, but I'd have to check on that. And then after that, you have a wave 4 complete. So let's take some of those drawings out. Take that original trend-based fib extension from the leading diagonal idea, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Project from the proposed wave 2, get into the 1618 for your wave 3. There's wave 4. Wave 5 pushes up to 125. So let's label that. Simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would complete a funky looking 5-wave structure with good measurements and a very nice retrace to the 0.5 fibs. That's where I would look. As wave 4 of lesser degree, I would look for entry somewhere around 85K is kind of my idea. The market is definitely pushing up and it's looking like it's on fire. But what is the market maker going to do with all those orders above 100K? Eventually he's going to balance his books, and that's how he does it, is in a wave 4. And then he wants to push up potentially for a liquidity grab wave 5, and or this becomes 1, 2, all of that is 3, and then you chop up here, then push up for another wave. And all is equally likely. Something that I'm kind of anticipating is this being an extended 5th and 3rd that takes you up much higher. So balance the books, and the expansive wave comes out of there, and it goes much, much higher due to something, some kind of catalyst is going to bring it up that high. So this might look very toppy. You'll eventually get short sellers coming in and trying to sell this market down because they feel that that was toppy and we're going to come back here and back test the previous all-time high. But your 85K should hold there. If it doesn't, then I wouldn't count this as a wave 4 that comes way down there. I would count that more like an ABC, and you're just going to do an ABC up. Either one works. The target still is at least 120 to 128K for an ABC, but this is the potential to carry on to probably 170K. So that's where I would look at from wave 4 that we should get out of this. This should shake you out. This should make you kind of worried when you do retrace back to wave 4 of lesser degree. Taking the price action as it is, this is still bullish. I'm not concerned about this until you start closing lower lows and lower highs, but you've maintained the 4-hour higher highs, higher lows, and as long as you're doing that, this can keep pushing up. As soon as you close a lower low, look to get out at the lower high potentially, and I wouldn't say short it necessarily unless you know what you're doing, because this is an expansive kind of, well, it's kind of revving up for a potential expansive move. This can explode much, much higher. I'm very well aware of that. But historically, the patterns that I've always seen, these end up at the 1.618 and then retrace all of that. And it might look like a rejection. It might be really fast down to 85. You might see it over the weekend before the CME can reopen, and then pop right back up and then consolidate and maybe start an uptrend right from there. You might see it at the half cycle low early December. You might have it come early. It might be on the weekend. It might be next weekend. But look for potentially to come down here and sweep all that liquidity. I think from what I'm seeing, most people are just super bullish to get over 100,000, which is likely coming now that you've reached 99. Yeah, this is probably getting over 100,000. But once you get all those orders above 100,000, the market maker has to put them somewhere and or balance his books. So you might flush down, and that might be the buying opportunity. And if you see that, if you see a flush down, takes all the liquidity, touches that wick, and then starts an uptrend, that should be your stop loss, and expect this to range up in here and kind of create an uptrend. Might happen over the weekend. Like I said, Sunday is usually a time to take entry for the week in the afternoon, New York time. So my experience from what I've seen, especially when you have raging bull markets going on. And I can't leave you without a drawing here. So I'm matching this leg with the current push up, and then I'm kind of expecting some chop up and around this area. Then potentially this pattern repeats. Up here it might look like distribution. And then one final pop up. To a 103, currently looking at 103 as a target. 101 was a target, 103, potentially as high as 107, 106, but 103 in general is kind of what I'm looking for. And if I see some kind of reaction there, I'm definitely taking some profits there. I usually do. And what would make me think that I'm wrong and that we don't retrace back to these levels to take those liquidities? Well, that would be repeating this leg almost exactly from up here. And you just take this local liquidity. Then that large impulsive move back up, closing a higher high. Look for a three-wave back, enter and go. And then you repeat that expansive move. Target on that would be probably 130. Well, we could measure that after. But yeah, that's how I would say that I'm incorrect in that, is if we get some kind of rejection down and it immediately reverses and closes a higher high, then you want to look for the higher low and re-enter. For targets on that, I would take a log scale on fib measurements on log scale and measure from that high the potential zigzag low that pops up, and I would project a target up to 133 to a potential 145 area, and that would just be repeating this move up, and that would be pretty bullish, because then you would still be repeating all of these moves here, and those would probably get you up to the 180. So definitely something to watch for. Also something to watch for is a sweep of this liquidity. So hope that helps you guys. I don't usually trade Elliott wave. I would be more concerned with the trend and where the trend is going. The daily 4 hour are all in alignment. The 1 hour that's up, as long as the 15 remains up, this thing can stay in alignment and keep grooving on up. You need a lower low close on at least a 4 hour to give yourself a correction. That's kind of what we had over here. As soon as we closed the 4 hour lower low, then we started just going sideways until we closed that 4 hour higher high by the higher low. And you could add on all those dips as long as the 4 hour is not closing a lower low. As soon as the 4 hour closes a lower low, expect more sideways chop and potentially grab this liquidity. Certainly something to watch for. So yeah, like and subscribe. And let me know what you think of the Elliott wave count. I've seen this pattern play out so many times before, especially on Bitcoin. I think it plays out so cleanly. Yeah, let me know what you think. Have a good night. Keep your stops tight. And happy bull market.